What's happening, guys? Welcome to a new episode of Just the Radio. I got the HoonSquad in the building today. Jp and Stephany. We'll start with Stephany. Welcome and thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Only pleasure. And JP, thank you.
Thanks. We're excited to be here.
Good. It's awesome to have you guys. So let's start off with Stephany, just because you recently competed. And so where was it that you competed?
I competed at the Arnold's Classic Europe in Spain. It was now 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I was actually, obviously doing some research, and I didn't know that you had competed so many times. I mean, it's sort of in your bio that you've, won your particular class 50 times.
Oh, no, that is for my athletes. But I have competed, I think, about 24 times.
So I was going to say, I mean, if you've won 50 times, how many shows have you done? So you've competed how many times, and how many times have you won, and then also overalls?
Goodness, I think I competed about 24, 25 times over the course of 7 years now. I'll have to go and count for you if I
But I
have
mean,
to
even
say.
24 times is
It's a lot.
big amount, especially in South Africa, because of the frequency of shows. There's not as many shows to do, and doing 24 over even a 7-year period, it's not a very long period of time. Well, in competing terms, it is, but in terms of doing 24 shows in 7 years, that's more than a show, way more than a show a year.
Correct. Yeah. I absolutely I love it so much. I'm so incredibly passionate for the sport. It really just drives me in not only in the bodybuilding aspect, but also as an individual, as a business owner, and it just helps me to further my athletes even more, having been able to relate on all those different, prep journeys that we enter into with them.
And that's actually something I was worried about when I stopped, actively competing was, am I going to lose clients? Am I going to lose contact and not have, that level of understanding the same way that your clients would if they were competing? And obviously how many times have you competed? And obviously not as frequently as Stephany.
No, not at all. I think I've only been competing. I also started 2016, actually the same year.
Yes, same month.
But I've only done about 8 shows, so not that much.
When was your last one?
Last one was last year, August.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm still sort of we're actually having this conversation a lot lately, because, business has been going really well, and my biggest passion is with the athletes. So you sort of get to that place now where you need to decide, do you still want to compete, or, do you want to put your time into what you love the most? But I also love competing quite a lot. I think I will always have that lifestyle, because I just feel like I like to walk the walk and learn new things as we go, So yeah, and just take that into my work as well. And I just feel like as well, like now we're in a nice group that's training at the gym as well. The guys are prepping for December, and just me being in that same sort of journey with them, same prep, going through the same energy, the same things. I just feel like it helps things a lot, understanding athletes and understanding them a bit better.
Well, let's go back to the beginning. How did you guys meet? How long have you guys been together? Because I think obviously maybe not even your clients know the story.
No, they don't.
Who's the right person to ask?
So I slide into the DMs.
It's standard practice.
And
True love does exist in the DMs.
She was actually very, how can I say, her replies were very short.
And was this before 2016, or when did you guys, because you said you competed in the same year?
Yeah, so we both started that year, but we only knew about each other. We haven't really been chatting and stuff yet. We sort of got to know each other a little bit better when I was still in East London with Louis, and Louis was sort of, I don't want to say date, was sort of involved with one of her best friends. And that's sort of where we started the connection and started chatting a bit.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was in 2018. Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. And you guys have built, a coaching business together, a supplement company together. How did that start? Because I saw did you found HoonSquad?
Yeah.
And then you kind of joined together.
Yes.
Yeah, so I started coaching. I actually started personal training first. After the studies, I went into that. So I was in East London, first BE, then East London, and then I moved up to here. So I think I was a PT for about 3 years. And I started online coaching with my second year of doing personal training. And when I was at Virgin Active Morningside, and I was there for about 12, 13 months. And the online business just grew so much that I sort of had to make a decision to go one or the other. Because I was working at Virgin Active, be there at 5 in the morning, we got home about 8, and then I still have to sit with online clients, so it was a lot. So I went into full-time into online coaching in 2019.
2019.
Yeah, just before lockdown happened.
Yeah.
And then from there, things just blew up. I'm very, very grateful for that, because it was always my plan and my goal to achieve. And I think it happened a little bit earlier than I was expecting it to happen. And then I think, I always tell new coaches, you just need that 1 or 2 athletes that's going to sort of build your name. You just need that opportunity with 1 or 2 athletes. And I think where mine came was with her and with Keenan. They were I had athletes before them, but I don't want to say not at their level. And after winning essays with Keenan and stuff, that's sort of where things started moving well for me. Yeah.
And then, so when you were working with Stephany, you obviously were together at that stage?
Yes.
And were you doing the online training?
Yes, I was also a lifestyle coach before we met. So I started athlete prep clients shortly after we met. And also, as I carried on with my business, it also, started growing more. And we essentially then, I think in 2019, decided to form what we now call the HoonSquad. Yeah. Very successful team. And it's just gone from strength to strength there.
Well, it definitely has. You can see how many athletes you have, and it's not just a bunch of athletes. There is a quantity, but there's great quality as well. All your athletes do come in condition. They do, represent in terms of getting podium positions. And you obviously touched on, starting off as, lifestyle coaches. Have you niched yourself into competing with a few lifestyle, or is it kind of just, because obviously you can't handle, if 1,000 people come to your month, you can't handle them, you need to prioritize. So do you prioritize, accepting clients and new clients that compete and want to compete, or, is that where you've, gone with the business model?
Yeah, so I want to say I sort of moved over to just athletes now, because it is where my biggest passion is, but my passion is also for helping others. So we sort of built this setup now, this team with Keenan being a lifestyle and an athlete coach. And then we obviously brought Kaylin in as well as a lifestyle coach. So, I know they've been with us a while. They know how things work. We look over them, we help them, we mentor them. So that's sort of a, how can I say, I'm happy to show lifestyle clients to them, and I know they will be in great hands. And that's just a way for us to still build the brand and still help people. And I can just move a little bit more, I want to say, energy and time into my biggest passion, which is the athletes. And same with her as well, but you do still take on some lifestyle clients here and there as well.
Yes, I still do have clients that have been with me for a few years now, that are still lifestyle people. And the funny thing actually with what I noticed with a lot of my lifestyle clients is eventually they want to compete too, because, they see all the goals on my social media and they're like, I think it's time to, shift our goals to a higher level. And so I've actually managed to convert a lot of my lifestyle people into, successful athletes as well, which I'm very, very proud of.
And I think it works both ways. You have the lifestyle athlete that does well physically and they see great results and they see, okay, actually I do have the potential to go compete. But then you also work with people that compete, and you're not the coaches that completely do it's so negative, like you put them in a negative mindset that they then can't live a lifestyle without being super obsessed with food and super obsessed with how they look. And it's a fine balance to walk with the client. So how do you manage that? Because you got to manage people's expectation. Like I see obviously Kaylin posts about it a lot, but those recipes and those things that you don't have to always eat chicken and broccoli. And that's also the way I see you guys help your clients, even with competition, is not every single meal is hake and broccoli and rice.
Yes, we've definitely phased out from those old school habits, I feel, making it more of a lifestyle approach, even for the athletes, so that, it just becomes a bit more sustainable to walk the journey, because one extreme dieting essentially just, will eventually become extreme binge eating. So that is always the type of thing that we want to try and avoid, because it's definitely not a healthy way of doing things, and we don't want people to think that's the way it has to be, from one extreme to the other. It can be one lifestyle plan right through the year.
And that's essentially what competing should be. I've had many clients that I've prepped for a show and they say, please don't take away my sauce. Please don't take away this or that, or please don't make me eat hake for 8 weeks. And I'm saying to them, I'm not even going to take away red meat. What are you talking about that you're going to have to eat hake for 8 weeks? And that's the misconception with bodyboarding, especially, is, you have to completely cut out every single nice thing that you've ever, and even in brackets, nice, just red meat. There's so many misconceptions about it that people build that negative stigma around it.
Yeah, things have definitely changed a lot. And I think, if people go out like us, we get a lot of mentor classes still with like Callum and stuff from the UK, and that's just where I basically, because when I came into the sport, I was also taught the old school ways. I started 12 weeks out, and by 1 week out I was still on the same diet, and I didn't even think there was carbs in that diet, to be honest. And then as time went on, I just started learning from, I don't want to say like more knowledgeable people, but just people doing things a little bit different, especially overseas. And I started doing lots of classes with them and stuff. And, we just started learning a little bit more that things working a little bit different now. And there's so many new methods and stuff. And, I always tell new coaches as well, never stop learning in this game. You can never be the best in anything. There's always room to improve. There's always new things coming out. And just try and stay on top of everything. And, for us, we try and show people that they pick the sport to enjoy it. Why do you, for example, I see a lot of people, they'll post on social media how bad they feel and how bad prep is, how bad the food is. That's where passion needs to kick in. You need to, really love what you do. Why do you do it when you feel like that the whole time? So we try and avoid that and really help people to enjoy the journey.
Obviously, old methods and old ways of eating, and as you say, following that plan, the same plan for 12 weeks with barely any carbs. It is that old way of thinking, the old way, or the old methodology. And you obviously say you've studied, you're continuously learning, and you're continuously changing because of the new methods that you learn. And it doesn't mean that because you've changed this prep that the old prep was wrong either.
No, not at all.
And that's also, I think, to be a good coach in any country, in anything, to be good at anything, you need to be constantly learning.
Yeah.
And you need to constantly be, adapting and changing and, making certain alterations, not meaning that what you did was bad, but because things continuously change, people's body change from one prep to another, so you have to constantly be learning. So how do you outsource those mentors that you go and study with?
To be honest, on social media, I'm very big on, you can sort of see who's giving good knowledge, who's putting good knowledge out there. And I mean, I was with Josh as well, who's from the UK. He's been a really big mentor for me, not just in bodybuilding, but in life. And another thing I believe as a coach, like when I was with him as well, is not just sending you the plan and, there you off, let's get to it. When they make changes, same with Callum, they actually explain to you why we're doing this, what's going to happen there, and what he's expecting to happen and stuff like that. And I mean, Callum had Muscle Mentors. I'm not sure if you remember that. They actually stopped now. But it's like an educational portal where you go on. So I was on there for a year as well, where, I learned quite a lot there because there was like 4 or 5 top coaches on there giving classes and stuff. And I was with Matt Jansen, not for coaching, but also for like a mentorship program, which also really helped me quite a lot. So yeah, I just think I look at the people that I can see their athletes are happy and they're getting very good results. And also the athletes are, always looking healthy and stuff, enjoying the journey. And like I say, people putting quality free knowledge out there. I always like that to learn. And when you send them a DM, I mean, they got so many clients, but they'll still respond to you and try and help you a bit. So that's pretty cool.
And I'm sure, obviously, with handling more lifestyle clients than not more essentially, but more than JP is, you also obviously need to do it to the greater extent, educating and telling people, because you're a lifestyle client, this is why we're doing this is why we're doing that. Because people that compete 9 times out of 10 have done a little bit of their own research and have a slightly better understanding. But especially with girls, it's better to tell them why they're doing things so they have a better understanding of it, so that the compliance is a bit easier.
Absolutely. I'm a firm believer of, I'm not just going to give you a plan and let you be on your way. I'm going to sit with you and explain to you exactly why we do things, why we need to eat more, why we need to train according to this method and progress each week, what changes do we expect to see, how long will the process take if you follow the plan A to Z, and this and that. And only, over a course of time, call it weeks, months, years, they can build their own knowledge based on what I've taught them, that's exactly how, for instance, Kaylin grew as an athlete and as a coach in the industries, because we started with her as a lifestyle client. She then became an athlete, a very successful one. And, so she has experience with all of this type of diets and training methods and stuff. And now she knows how to teach others to do it the same in a healthy way, and it just carries on from there, I guess.
And now being in Europe, did you also, being backstage with all these other athletes, international athletes, I think that's also a great learning experience. Absolutely. To see how they do and what they do.
The level of athlete there is absolutely it blows my mind. They are, it actually overwhelms me because, everything is in place, their physique, but their look and small things like their hair and the makeup, all of those things play such an immense role on stage. And, when you look at the South African athletes, we definitely are behind. We're not quite on their level yet, but I bring back home what I've seen and what I've learned from there, and I teach my girls that are in prep or that are, busy, working towards a prep that, so this is the look we're going to work towards. This is the weak areas that we need to bring up. or in terms of just your glam, your hair and your makeup, bikini color doesn't necessarily work with any person. Like if you're brunette, you can't just wear any bikini color. There's specific colors that will work really well on you, and the same with a blonde. So it's small little details, but to someone that has no knowledge, it won't seem like much, but it actually does play a big role when you portray that on stage. So there's a lot that I feel that I always can learn when I go to international competitions.
And what do you think it is that put South Africa on a back foot almost and not be as progressive as those countries? Is it maybe because of the level of competition there that everyone has to step up the game? And where here you kind of can afford to not come in 100% every time you go to a show?
I definitely feel like maybe looking back at history, that there weren't enough I almost want to say experienced coaches for that international level of caliber of athletes, because when we look at a bikini athlete especially, I feel like there aren't enough males in our country that actually know what a bikini physique should look like and what the judge is looking for and the criteria that it's met. So, and because of that, I feel like we've kind of fallen behind in, where the standards are at. And, thankfully, like, JP and I, or, other coaches that do attend international shows, hopefully they can, like we do, take the knowledge that we get from there and, come and teach our athletes here, in South Africa, so that we can essentially grow to that level.
And you think the male bodybuilders especially, like if you look at even classic, the open classic or open bodyboarding and, classic, the level of athletes that we have here, even our bodybuilders can't actually compare to the classic overseas.
Yeah, I actually saw this the first time last year at Worlds, when Mark was there backstage in the classic lineup, and I was getting him ready, and I was just looking at these classic oaks, and I was just thinking to myself, how do they even make weight? It was just because that's the first time I really see that level on like world level in males, and it was just mind blowing, like really mind blowing. And again, I just, we have a lot of athletes in the country, really, really a lot, that's got potential to go all the way. Sadly, obviously for a lot of them, they don't have the financial support to go overseas a lot. But I feel like the more you get put like under pressure to stand next to those people, because I just take myself as a coach and athletes that go with us every time. When they come back, the drive is just so much more. They sort of have that picture now.
They know what they have to look like next time they go back.
I thought I was, good, but I sort of got comfortable. But now I saw the next level. And, I just feel like that really helps you mentally to push things a little bit further. And I just, like, we really want to try from next year to take bigger groups over. And hopefully we can do this, because I just feel like really it will start putting SA on the map the more we, get seen there. Because, even if a really good athlete from their side goes over, the judges don't know him that side. He might not even make top 3 still, even though he's that quality. So you need to be seen a lot, I feel, in the international stages to really like make a success out of it.
And that's the thing with bodyboarding. It's not always just physique-based, the outcome of the show. Sometimes it's, this coach, that coach, this judge. Yeah. And it's unfortunate, but it's the way it is. So you kind of just need to play the game.
Yeah, and what I feel like a lot of bodybuilders, not just, I want to say all males, even bikini, every criteria, there's like a criteria you need to fit for every lineup. And I just feel like a lot of people, whether it's a coach, whether it's an athlete coaching themselves, it doesn't really matter, but they think the goal in a prep is to get as lean as possible, and that, that's prep. Get as lean as possible, done. And I've seen this many times, the leanest bikini girl on stage, getting 5th or 4th, the coach gets upset, but she didn't fit the criteria. People don't understand there's like a criteria you need to fit. Same goes with the guys. I mean, you did classic, there's like a different look in classic. You need to be like a classic aesthetic look compared to bodybuilding. You can't really be a blocky bodybuilder making weight in classic. Now I think you're going to do well there. It doesn't work like that. And then the same goes to bodybuilding, not just getting that crazy condition, but actually, bringing that pop to stage with fullness and condition combined. I think that is something a lot of people haven't really nailed yet.
I think
it's either one or the other.
Yeah, especially with bodybuilding. Classic, it's slightly easier to fit the criteria, but with bodybuilding, to maintain that size and then to be in the condition that you need to be, is difficult, because you get people that come in super full, but then they're still holding a little bit of water. Detailing isn't as detailed enough. So now, your supplement company, how did that start?
That's actually one good thing that came from lockdown.
Oh, so from lockdown?
Yeah. So, we were, it's something I always wanted to do as well. I'm very passionate about that as well. And I think it was the second month in lockdown. I can't really remember, but, I just started working on formulations. I was still sitting in the office space upstairs and working on formulations on pre-workouts, what I would like to see in a pre-workout, and, got a few things going. And as soon as it opened up, I actually sent it in for some sampling. Did a few sampling, wasn't happy, another few. And I think about 2 or 3 months after going back and forth, we brought the first batch out, which was only a pre-workout and only a whey protein. And then from there, it just came one extra. Yeah, that's just how we went from it. And if all goes well, in Jan, now next year, we're going to basically redo the whole brand again. So some of the stuff we're going to change formulations a bit, and then new stuff coming in. And then, hopefully we'll be stocking quite a big few places in SA.
Awesome.
All goes well, yeah.
So as a couple, obviously eating strict, working together, training similar times, similar things, what strain have you seen that has put in the relationship? What benefits have you seen that it's helped with the relationships?
No strain whatsoever. We're so attached to one another. It's actually silly. But we just love being around one another. I think we just, we always fulfill one another. We just thrive off each other's energy. And, when one is, feeling a bit off, then the other one just helps to uplift again. So we honestly never get annoyed with being in each other's space, ever.
Not even in prep.
Not even.
Okay.
We just work so well.
Yeah. I just think it's because she's literally my best friend, and that's probably why. Like, if I'll travel somewhere or something and she's not with it, just feels weird. Feels like something is missing.
Yeah. But I think in any relationship, that's what needs to be there first, is the best friend and that companionship. And it's, as you say, you're traveling, I wish she was with me. I would rather have her here with me. And that's what you need in any relationship. And I mean, it's amazing that you guys say that even when you in that starvation mode, when you're super tired from doing all the cardio and training, that you still, obviously there's maybe slightly more arguments that arise, but I think you both know where you stand with each other. It's never something that's going to obviously be detrimental.
No. Yeah, for sure.
And but you also obviously always look good, and you always obviously are dieting, but because you've competed more and more recently, I assume you've obviously been eating essentially less calories in relation to each other. So who's the one that is able to, eat less and still maintain their sanity a bit more?
I mean, we got to a place now we're really not fazed by like food, I don't know. We eat out often at restaurants, but we eat like fairly clean, like I'd say at least 95% of the time. Even if it's at a restaurant, I'll have a salad or a salmon like rye toasting, and he'll still have a steak and rice, and it doesn't really faze me. We're just so used to that by now. It's like, you know, that daily habit thing, like that with us.
And I think that's also, you know, as we said, what separates overseas versus South Africa is those athletes as well. Every single opportunity they get, they're at least making a healthier choice and a healthier decision. And, you know, I'm going away. Let me choose a place that has a gym. Whereas in South Africa, like I'm a bodybuilder, but okay, maybe not bodybuilder, maybe they'll make more decisions in terms of their physique. But if you, let's say a men's physique or some bikini girls, they might, it's fine if I'm away for 3 weeks or whatever. It's not the end of the world if I don't have a gym. Whereas if you're truly about that life, you're going to choose a place that has a gym so that you can go to gym.
Yeah, I just feel like, I definitely feel like the international, or maybe not all of them, but most at the big shows, international athletes are, I want to say they live for their sport though. They, you know, they don't really have that balance everyone is talking about. And again,
but to be the best, you actually can't have balance.
Yeah, I just feel like everything they are doing is like for their goal. You know, it's not like where most people will only do the work in a prep, and then as soon as the off season starts, you know, they taking it as off time, rest time, which is also important, that recovery time. But I just feel like a lot of people are just taking it a bit too far. And, you know, for us being coaches, this is actually something I've realized quite a lot this last year. We can't allow an off season to go too far, because it makes the prep for the athlete really difficult. You know, the further you take that place, the more difficult the prep is going to be for them. So I just think to have a nicer prep, to enjoy it more, you should just have that fine line in the off season where to stop things a little bit. You know, I think it's important.
Yeah, and it's also, you know, as you say, you're working with your athletes on the off season. Whereas, you know, there's a lot of coaches where they'll help someone for 12 weeks and then they'll never hear from that client again, maybe to the next prep, where there's no work in the off season to try and improve, or even just to mitigate any, you know, negative fat or whatever. Obviously, to an extent, you can put on fat after a show, but not to the extent where now you have to completely deprive yourself going back into a prep again.
Yeah, look, off season with us is still, you know, I get weekly check-ins with me. I want to make sure everything is fine. I send the feedback on video, explaining everything. You know, I just feel like it helps keep them on the road if they do a check-in with me every week, where let's say, okay, you're going to do a check-in once a month for me. It's off season now. You know, for 2 weeks, they might feel like, okay, I'm going to enjoy myself a bit, and then just for 2 weeks, quickly try and, you know, just have that accountability. I feel like it helps a lot. And then for us, just to make sure everything is healthy, everything is good. You know, it is off season. If they're struggling with a meal, let's change it. Something that you like, or we'll give the calories. They can play around with their meals a bit. You know, in the off season, I feel like that's the most important thing, is just the calories and macros. It doesn't play that big part of how you eat it or stuff. But obviously just making sure it's good on your GI and stuff, so you don't get digestion issues and stuff like that.
So what's next for you, show-wise?
I honestly don't know, because I've been so focused now on the wedding prep. I'm coming back from Spain. So, that's happening.
So when's that?
On the 11th of December.
Okay, nice.
So, I am almost there with everything. And, so that's the next thing I'm really, really looking forward to. And, and then we'll see next year what competing has in store for us.
And you, show-wise?
The plan is to start prep in Jan for around May. So, we'll see how it goes. But for now, I'm just trying to put on, a little bit more tissue, get the weaker areas better. And it actually worked out well to take the year off, because, there was quite a big shows, and I feel like this year really, I want to say, pushed the athlete side of the brand a little bit further, and it allowed me to really put a lot of time in there, you know, be at all the shows. And we got Worlds coming up now, and if all goes well, we might go with, to make sure everyone is proper and ready. So yeah, that's the most important for now. And we take it from there.
Well, I must say, every time I see someone that's done well at a show, I'll see their profile, and then I'll say, oh, JP coached him. Oh, Stephany coached her. So it's actually amazing to see, you know, the amount of, like, even now, I'll see this guy's post, like, oh, hectic, he started with JP now. So it's you know, you're having a great effect within the industry, within the athletes that you're using, and it's, you know, quality athletes already as well that have now moved over to you because they've seen how you've changed other people, and they've seen, okay, well, you know, I've had a great coach before, I did well, but I can do even better with JP or Stephany. So guys, well done, and thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, thank you so much. It was awesome.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Only a pleasure, and thank you guys for watching.
Go home, John.